Hey there, we're back on the porch with my dog Olaf. This is Shannon Post, and it's a little windy today, so we'll see if this one makes it into the files. Today, I wanted to talk to you about the problem that you can encounter if you're just sucking it up at work and kind of eking through and not leaning into your strengths. And at the end, we'll talk about how to know the difference and what to do about it. And as usual, I will tell you a story to illustrate this point. So, as many of you know, for the last few years, I've had a lot of health issues and really slowed the business down. And so when I finally was able to go back to work full time, I had a ton of backlog, just a lot of details, daily work to be done. Very, I won't say mundane, but it's the daily work of life. And if you guys have been following along for a while, you know that my nature is that of more of an innovator of new things and ideas. And I know that because I took an assessment called the Kolbe A Index that revealed to me some strengths that I had no idea I had, and that I didn't realize were strengths. And ever since then, I have been on a journey to recalibrate my life to lean that way into my strengths as much as possible. And if you have been a client, you know that I do this with clients as well. Usually when you work with me, that one of the very first things we do is take the Kolbe A assessment. And I'm not a strict with personality assessments and any type of assessment that says something about you. I am not as interested. I like it if it's going to be a little bit windy here. I like it if it's validated in research, but it's not so necessary to me that it is exact and true, because the way I use assessments with myself and with clients is as a mirroring tool. So a lot of us did not get properly mirrored as a child. Our parents, a good healthy parent in a good healthy relationship, can work alongside and sort of co-create with the child the life to, encourage them to be who they are. A lot of us, especially in older generations, that wasn't really a thing. Being who you were wasn't really part of the mix of parenting. Some people ended up that way because they naturally fit into the culture, but a lot of parenting was very prescriptive, whether that was religious or academic or cultural. Sometimes it's gender based, but a lot of people, myself included, were raised to think a certain, we were told what to think, what to do, what to wear, how to feel, what was right, what was wrong. And what we thought about and what we felt about the matter was absolutely irrelevant, and in many cases was actively pushed down. Things were said like, your feelings don't matter, your feelings will lead you astray, don't listen to what other people say, listen to, like, for instance, what the church says, or what this one religious leader or this one group leader says, things like that. So that's when I say a prescriptive childhood, that's what I'm talking about. So if you had, and sometimes it's just a very strict background. It could be a military background, somebody that had a caregiver that just had a lot of rules about how things should be, and they thought there was one right way to live and everything else was trash. So that's what we're talking about. If you come from a background like that, it's possible that you weren't mirrored very well. And if you want to learn more about that, I would, go seek out. TikTok is a great place to start subscribing to therapists and psychologists and neuroscientists that can talk about mirroring and the importance of that in developing as a human being. But if you weren't mirrored well, what do you do? And sometimes we will go through relationships or we're trying on jobs because we're trying to figure out who you are. It reminds me very much of that Dr. Seuss book, Are You My Mother? And it may not be the exact right. I haven't read that in probably 40 years, so I might be a little off topic. But my memory of it is, this little creature trying to figure out, do I belong here? Are you my mom? Am I like you? Am I like a crane? Am I like a tree? Am I like a, box? Things like that. And it's seeking to try to get a mirror of what it is so it knows what it is in the world. And we do that as humans as well. So the Kolbe A and any other personality test, your Myers-Briggs, your DISC, your Enneagram, probably even astrology, anything like that, that can mirror back to you, hey, the test says that you're this. Is that correct? And that last question is the one I'm most interested in. What the test actually says, fairly irrelevant, because we know there's lots of bias and all sorts of other things, and some tests aren't validated, blah, blah. But if it gives you confirmation, you're like, oh yeah, that feels true. That seems right. And it makes it more clear. That's my test of, is an assessment useful? For me, the Kolbe was very useful because even though I was upset about it, I was actually really mad about my result because it revealed that my strengths were almost in opposition to what I thought I should be as a person, who I thought I should be, what I thought I should be doing, what a good person does. And when it revealed nearly the opposite of that, I really, really struggled to come to terms with it. And I think sometimes I still struggle with that because the way I was raised was just absolutely the opposite. And for illustration, recently, I hired an assistant, and she's amazing. I love working with her. She's so, oh goodness, why are there fireworks in September? How strange. Well, all sorts of things happen when you're living in rural Alaska at an airport. If you're new here, that's where we are, and that's why there's lots of background noise, because if I didn't record with background noise, I would never record anything. So there we are. But back to the Kolbe. So really starting to accept and live into what my strengths are. So I have a gift in being succinct, even though these rambles are absolutely rambles. But when I'm working, when I'm taking action, it's very easy for me to summarize things, to look at a lot of information and figure out what the key details are very quickly. I'm very flexible. I'm very adaptable. But my largest strength is in ideas and innovation and generating new things and testing things out and trying to change the paradigm in the world. I do that even in careers. I'm definitely not your blue suit and tie and, go to school to get your MBA and then go into business and then work for McKinsey and, oh, there's a big plane. Sounds like it. Things like that. I'm more, let's find the career for you that suits you, regardless of what that looks like. We need to make sure it's sustainable, both energetically and financially, all that. But I'm not interested in you stuffing yourself into a box and trying to live there for the next 50 years. I want you to be who you are and express who you are. So I also try to live that. Well, I don't try to. I live that myself. And it helps me remember how difficult it is, how challenging it is, and how counterintuitive it is in our culture where we're told what to do, what to think, what to be. Recently, when I hired this assistant, we were going through things, and she's starting to take over some of that, some of the work that's not really in my wheelhouse. I can do it, but it takes me so much effort. It's so difficult. It strains my energy, and the way she's wired, it's actually absolutely in her wheelhouse. She It's easy for her. She likes doing it. It gives her energy, that kind of stuff. And as I'm able to start delegating things over to somebody that is strong in those areas, it's actually freeing up a ton of energy in my own. And I've had, especially in the mornings, like these bursts of inspiration and ideas. And I feel like I'm myself again. I'm like, oh, I'm back. Like, oh, it's so nice that, I am innovative. I am doing all this thing because I've very much been trying to hold things together, trying to make things work, trying to get all the details done, like all the finances and taxes and all of that kind of stuff. Even things like I love creating content, but getting it posted out is totally a struggle for me. That's definitely not in my wheelhouse. And I would say 90% of my work was work that needed to be done. It had to be done. There wasn't really another choice at the time. But it was everything that was outside of my strengths. It was outside of my wheelhouse of what comes naturally to me and what was inborn in me. It's so easy for me, I don't even think about it. And it's super common. We all do this because sometimes we have to do this. We have to pay the bills. We have to put food on the table. We have to pay the mortgage. We've got to make the car payment. All of those really practical things of life. I am definitely not a leap and the net will appear. I'm like, leap, but after you make sure you've installed a net, let's just make sure. And that's just out of experience. That's not because I'm risk averse. I'm definitely not. It's because I've tried that, and that creates a ton of chaos, and it's not that much fun. It's like fun in the moment, and then sucks for the next 10 years. But what I've noticed is as I am able to delegate or stop doing the things that aren't in my nature, it frees up an exponential amount of energy for me to lean into what I am good at, into content creation and working with people and doing things on the fly, and especially working with people one-on-one like that. It gives me so much energy. I get so much joy out of it. And I had almost forgotten what it was like to be in that state. It's really easy for all of us, because as they say, adulting is hard. It's full of a lot of boring details. Life is full of logistics, and it's difficult. And it's really easy to let that take center stage, and for everything to become that mundane, doing the laundry and making meals and doing the things that make a life work. And to forget who we are, to forget what it feels like when we're leaning into our strengths. And if you're feeling that kind of stuck, often that's what I feel stuck, but I don't know what else to do. I feel like I don't have any energy. I can't get myself motivated. Sometimes they're underlying mental health issues. They're totally valid. I identify with that, so I know that that's very real. It can also be situational, of the work that you're doing is almost exclusively outside of your strengths, and it will suck you dry. It will drain your energy, and it takes the fun out of things. It takes the life out of things, and it just becomes drudgery. There's this quote that I heard recently that I hadn't heard in a long time, and I forgot, because there's this thought of ideas without logistics are just dreams, and the counter to that is but logistics without dreams is just drudgery. And for me, life had become kind of like that, a lot of bit drudgery, and as I'm able, I'm not saying you're doing it wrong because you're not leaning into your strength. Sometimes we're in seasons of life where that's just not that easy. But when you hit seasons of life, or when you are able, when you can make the choice to step into a job or transfer to another department, or, move into a role that absolutely celebrates your strengths, where your strengths are what the job requirement wants, that's what the job needs, you will feel this lift of energy. Going to work actually gives you energy instead of draining your energy. You can also be tired at the end of the day, but it's not the same as like that miserable drudgery. And I tell you this story just because it was, I don't know, it was so profound to me. It almost like made me teary, where I was like, oh my gosh, I just totally forgot how good life can be with very small changes, of trying to do more things that are in my wheelhouse and not beating myself up for it. Like when I'm working, it's very inspired. I've got 35 tabs open all the time, and I'm doing usually 4 or 5 things at once. The advice to like focus and do one thing at a time is absolutely 100% counterproductive for me. That will grind me right to a halt, and I won't get anything done. But I feel like I should be like that. So sometimes I try, or sometimes life requires that, and I have to do that. And it's like trying to swim through mud. It's very difficult, a lot of effort, and you don't get very far. So if you are in that place, I just want you to know that there is hope. There are many ways to start leaning into your strengths. And it's one avenue, if you are feeling really stuck, that you might try. And you might think about as to see if it works. Maybe it doesn't work for you. That's totally fine. But it's just an option. I'm going to throw this option out there in case it works for you. And in case it gives you that lift when you're looking at your next career shift, when you're looking at signing up for a degree, signing up for a career path, make sure it sits in your wheelhouse. It fits in with your strengths. It's not too far outside of that. Oh, there's another. Oh, the mountain must be out. Oh, the planes are starting to take off. It's been rainy here all summer. It's just I came out on the porch because it was sunny, and I wanted to catch the 10 minutes that was going to happen. But make sure you're choosing a path, a lifestyle, a career, a degree that fits within your strengths. Even if the culture says it's, doesn't agree, even if your parents don't agree, even if your spouse or your friends, like you could have friends that are just absolutely opposite of you. So what works for them is 100% not going to work for you. I've had business colleagues, like business strategists, come work with me, and they're like, oh, well, if you just do step by step and do one thing at a time, you just this really normal thing. And I know that that's not going to work for me, even though it should. Like, I know that formula works. It works for a lot of people. It just won't work for me because of how I'm hardwired. And that's okay. And that's the message I want to give to you. The way you're hardwired, what your strengths are, it's okay. It's okay for you to lean into them. It's okay for you to step in to that, to do a little bit more of that every day. Sometimes you have to build up a tolerance for doing it because it feels really scary, especially if it's, against everything or everything you've always done. And if you want, one way to do that is to take the Kolbe A Index. You can Google it. You can go to my website at discoverwhatyourborntodo.com and go into the work with me, into the links. There's like a link in bio there, and you'll find a link to take the Kolbe A. You can take a Kolbe A deep dive with me, where I will go in depth into your specific assessment and what it means and how you can apply it to real life. I'm really interested about how do we practically do this? It can be a really great tool for delegation if you're in management, to sit down and help you know what you need to delegate. Because sometimes the standard advice is you need to delegate all these certain things. Like in my industry, they're like, outsource your social media and your content creation. And I'm like, yeah, but that's so easy for me. That's silly. That doesn't make any sense. I'm going to outsource accounting. That's what I'm going to outsource. That's the part I'm not, it's not in my wheelhouse. So it can be a really practical tool to help you figure out what to delegate, what type of career that you're going to thrive in. It explained to me why I struggled so much with jobs that were Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, that had 30-year pensions. If they wanted you to stay there for a long time. And I'm not hardwired for that. I can't. Entrepreneurship, as much of a roller coaster as it is I'm much more suited to it. I'm much more relaxed when I'm in it, and it's much easier. So I'll offer that up as a tool. Many assessments can tell you this. The Kolbe A specifically looks at how you take action. So it's directly related to careers and work, which is why I use it and I like it. But mostly there's a message of hope. If you are in a season of like heavy caregiving, maybe you've got kids, maybe you've got your parents, maybe you've got to take a job that you can do it, but man, it sucks the life right out of you. Know that there is hope and there is absolutely a way out of that. If you want more inspiration, you'd like to hear more about this, I'd love to hear from you, and I hope that helps. Talk to you later.